Everyone thinks burnout comes from working too hard, but the data says something completely different. According to Gallup, the #1 cause of burnout in the US isn't workload. It's the feeling that your work no longer matters. So what if the real problem is not the job you do, but the person you've become while doing it? In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you a map, a system that less than 5% of Americans in their 30s and 40s ever discover. A system that explains why your career feels stuck, why your energy is collapsing, and why your motivation disappears no matter how many vacations you take. And more importantly, how to rebuild your life step by step without quitting everything overnight. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. You're not tired of work. You're tired of being the version of yourself that your work turned you into, and deep down, you know it. That's why weekends don't help. That's why breaks don't help. That's why coffee stopped helping 5 years ago. Hundreds of people I've worked with, from Dallas to Seattle, from Miami to Chicago, all describe the same pattern. The job didn't change. The market didn't change. They changed. And that's good news, because if the problem is internal, the solution is too. But there's one twist, one invisible force that pulls millions of Americans into mid-career collapse without them realizing it. A psychological trap that makes you feel older than you are, less capable than you are, and more stuck than you actually are. We'll get to it soon. But first, let me tell you a secret that most people discover too late. There is a silent pressure that hits everyone between 30 and 45. It's not talked about in school. Your parents don't warn you about it. And by the time you feel it, you're already running out of time. Picture this. You're standing still, but everyone around you is moving. Some are climbing, some are falling, some are sprinting, and you suddenly realize this is the decade that decides everything. Between 30 and 45, you're expected to have answers. A career, a financial plan, a sense of direction, but no one prepared you for the pressure. And that pressure feels like a quiet emergency. You start questioning yourself. Am I too late? Did I choose the wrong path? Is this really everything I'm capable of? And these questions don't show up all at once. They creep in, a little every day. This is the moment when many people give up, or freeze, or start living on autopilot. But here's the truth nobody tells you. This decade isn't the end of opportunity. It's the beginning of clarity. Here's the part that hits the hardest. You can be doing everything right and still feel completely lost. Because the world taught you to follow a script. Go to school, get a job, work hard, and eventually, things will work out. But then reality shows up. You realize the script was written for a world that doesn't exist anymore. Careers change, industries collapse, technology replaces entire skill sets, and suddenly, the path you trusted disappears beneath your feet. That's why you feel the pressure, not because you're behind, but because the world changed faster than you were told to adapt, and no one gave you a new map. Maybe you've asked yourself, why am I not further by now? Why does everyone else look like they figured it out? Let me tell you something important. Most of them are faking it. That's the real crisis of your 30s and 40s. Not failure, not lack of achievement, but the realization that the old roadmap doesn't work anymore. And now, you have to build your own. Before we talk about solutions, we have to name the real problem. You are not burned out, you are not lazy, and you are not unmotivated. You're experiencing an identity collapse. Identity collapse happens when the person you became no longer fits the life you're living. Your goals changed, your values shifted, but your environment stayed the same. That gap is what's tearing you apart. According to national surveys, over 70% of Americans in their 30s and 40s say they feel disconnected from the person they became, not because life is hard, but because the life they built no longer matches who they are. This is not a career problem. It's not even a motivation problem. It's an identity mismatch. When who you are today doesn't fit who you were trained to be. Take Mark, for example. 41 years old, 2 kids, solid career in operations. On paper, he was doing great. But every morning, He woke up feeling like he was living the wrong version of himself. It wasn't burnout. It wasn't stress. It was the moment he realized he'd outgrown the identity that built his career. And you might be in that same place, where your past self made choices your current self can't live with. That's not failure. That's evolution. Your identity upgraded, your life didn't. And here's the twist that almost everyone gets wrong. Changing your life doesn't start with a new goal. It starts with rebuilding the identity you lost. And that's exactly what we're about to do in the next part. All right, we've identified the collapse. Now let's rebuild what you lost. Most people think identity is something mystical, something emotional. But identity is actually a cognitive system. It's the software your mind runs. Your identity has 3 layers. Layer 1, your story, the narrative you tell yourself about who you are. Layer 2, your standards, what you think you deserve. Layer 3, your environment, the people and habits surrounding you every day. Burnout doesn't come from work. It comes from misalignment between these layers, and this was Mark's turning point. He didn't need a new job. He needed a new identity system. Once that changed, everything else followed. Modern psychology is clear. Your identity predicts your behavior. Stronger than motivation, stronger than discipline, stronger than willpower. You don't do things because you want to. You do them because they match who you believe you are. So if you feel stuck, if it's getting harder to focus, if you wake up tired even after sleeping, it's not your job. It's the identity mismatch, and the system to fix it is surprisingly simple. It takes 90 days, habits this small, wins this tiny, but momentum that grows like a snowball, and that's exactly what we'll build together in the next block. The Identity Reboot Framework, the tool that transforms your energy, your motivation, and your direction. Let's break it open. To move forward, you first need a clear diagnosis of what's broken. What you're about to hear isn't just opinion, it's a 2-part system used by professionals every day. First, advice from the world of HR and hiring. It's about your strategy. Then, advice from modern psychology. It's about your state of mind. Together, they form the complete picture. Let's begin. Here's what HR professionals see that most people miss. Your career is no longer a ladder you climb at one company. It's a portfolio of skills you build and take with you. Pain point 1. You're perfecting skills for your current job, while the market has moved on to valuing something else. The fix, the 20% rule. Dedicate 1 full day a week or a few hours daily to learning a skill for your next role, not your current one. Pain point 2. You rely on your job title for security instead of your actual value to any employer. The fix, the market check. Have one conversation every 3 months with a recruiter or apply for a job you're curious about. The goal isn't to leave, it's to get real feedback on what you're worth, right now. Now, let's talk about your internal state. Burnout isn't the problem, it's the alarm signal. The real problem is a mismatch between who you are and what you do every day. Pain point 1. The exhaustion that doesn't go away after a weekend. That's not physical tiredness, it's alignment fatigue. The fix, the energy log. Keep a simple log for 2 weeks. Note the moments you feel engaged and drained. The pattern will shock you. It shows exactly which tasks and people are costing you your energy. Pain point 2, the loss of meaning. Asking, why am I doing this, leads not to answers but to numbness. The fix, the for whom shift. Don't ask why, ask for whom. Is this report helping my teammate make a better decision? Is this task making our client's life easier? This tiny shift reconnects your work to a human being, and meaning returns instantly. When you combine these 2 systems, everything clicks into place. The HR advice gives you the map. The psychology advice gives you the compass. A map without a compass means you'll move efficiently in the wrong direction. A compass without a map means you'll know your direction, but have no path to follow. Your next move is to activate both systems at once. Start with the energy log from psychology to discover what truly fuels you. Then, use the HR 20% rule to invest in skills that align with those energizing areas. This is the systematic way out of the crisis, and this leads us directly to the final part, your step-by-step 90-day action plan. Now, to truly understand why so many Americans feel stuck today, we turn to the people who see this problem every single day. Career strategists, HR leaders, psychologists, and professionals who have rebuilt their lives from scratch. Let me share what they told us and what they've lived through on the front lines. Career strategists across the U.S. are seeing the same pattern. People aren't leaving their jobs because they want more money. They're leaving because their growth stopped. They call it the mid-career ceiling. Somewhere between age 30 and 45, progress slows down unless you actively reinvent yourself. The market rewards people who adapt, not people who wait, and that's exactly what millions of Americans are feeling right now. HR leaders told us something surprising. Today, hiring managers value adaptability more than experience. Someone with 10 years of static experience is less attractive than someone with 3 years of fast, visible growth. The problem is, most people don't realize this until it's too late. They stay comfortable, and the market moves on without them. So the real threat isn't competition, it's stagnation. And then there are the personal stories, the human side of all this. One woman told us she had worked the same office job for 11 years. She wasn't unhappy, but she wasn't growing either. When her company restructured, her position disappeared overnight. No warning, no transition. She realized the market needed skills she had never updated. She went from experienced professional to suddenly unqualified. But once she committed to reskilling, everything changed. Fast. Her story isn't an exception, it's the new American reality. Psychologists we spoke to see the same root cause everywhere. Burnout in America isn't just about overwork, it's about identity. People feel disconnected from who they are and from the future they want. Taking back ownership, even in small steps, dramatically reduces anxiety and restores meaning. These insights from experts and from everyday Americans make one thing clear. The moment you take responsibility for your growth, the entire path ahead begins to open. In the next block, we'll break down the step-by-step blueprint you can follow to redesign your future, starting today. Well, now that we've seen the reality of the American career landscape and the personal stories of people who rebuilt everything, it's time to bring it all together. Because the truth is simple. Your future is not determined by where you stand today, but by the steps you choose to take next. In this video, we uncovered the real challenges Americans face. The mid-career plateau that locks millions between ages 30 and 50. The new hiring rules that reward adaptability over static experience. The emotional burnout caused by feeling disconnected from your future. And the powerful transformations that happen when people take control again. And now, it's your turn. Start with a brutally honest question. Are my current skills moving me toward the future I want? Most Americans never pause long enough to reflect, but reflection is the first step toward reinvention. Not 10, not 5, just one. One skill that makes you instantly more valuable in the market. That's how real change begins, with clarity, not overwhelm. Once you redefine who you are, you must communicate it. Your resume, your LinkedIn, your interviews, your digital footprint, they must all reflect the person you are becoming, not the person you were. And this is the moment everything changes, because once you begin moving forward, even slowly, the world starts opening doors for you that were invisible before. You're no longer stuck. You're no longer waiting. You're designing your life with intention. So here's your challenge. Tonight, not tomorrow, take the first small step. Download the checklist, start the 7-day plan, commit to growth, because your next decade can be radically different from your last, and that transformation begins right now.